to leave here tonight. This fun feels just right. It's calling me, and I must find that I'm so crazy that I've never seen. To get up, get on, get moving, chasing that dream. I'm so burned out, can't get out of this town. I've been working all week and the overtime's weighing me down. I see one of these days I'm gonna get lost and hope to not be found. Come on, let's do it. 'Cause I'm going. What is going on, everybody? Hope you are doing well. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Bri.
How are you this evening, sir?
Oh, just peachy.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Using the phone today.
Yeah. That's all right, man.
Still jacking with it.
Once in a while, technology, fails us. So what are you going to do?
Very true.
We got an epic guest in line this evening. Mr. Everett Park is going to be joining us here momentarily. So he's having some technical difficulties of his own. So that'll get straightened out here in a second, man. But I don't know. Should we spill the juice?
We could.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, we got a top secret project going on. Should we keep it top secret?
How top secret is it, though?
I don't know. A little teaser. I want to give a shout out to all those competing in the Noobs tournament. I know some of you guys are tuned in right now over there. Man, we've had some killer turnouts. It's a tournament series, monthly tournament series that we set up for beginners to get involved into the kayak fishing tournament world. So it's kind of cool to see the community that started over there that was inspired from the Bass Fishing for Noobs segment. Shout out to Ryan Milford and Sean Lavery. So it's pretty cool. If you know somebody that's looking to get their feet wet and doesn't really want to take the plunge into KBF or Hobie or Bass or, obviously a lot of clubs are ramping down and stuff. This is the last month we're doing it. And you can sign up all the way up till the 5th. So.
Well, oh yeah.
Yeah. So, man, Everett, come on, bro. What are you?
Yeah.
Going outside with the rabbit ears?
Just more tinfoil, dude. That's it.
Yeah, it's all good. He'll be joining us here momentarily, man. Hope everybody's doing well. It's the season's starting to wind down. We're into September. Hopefully everybody's getting out of the house and out on the water and catching some fish, man. It's crazy times right now, dude. And I hope that at least a little peace and serenity on the water is helping everybody through these weird times. Frankie Provolone in the chat as always. Sup Slayers. Brad Hicks has got a crush on Jay Randall. That's why he's got the smiley face with all the little hearts.
It's hard not to, right? It's all right back at you, Brad. Just not as close as you think.
Just a little background on Everett from what I know. I try not to, and I know, me and you kind of have the same philosophy. Like, we don't necessarily try to dive too deep into the background of our guests, just because I think it leads to a better conversation, so to speak. But Everett is a big part of New Canoe. He's a hunter, a fisherman, hunterman. But we're going to talk to him about that. I know he likes chasing shoal bass and huge striped bass. I'm sure you guys saw that photo that we popped up for the preview of this stream and at the beginning of this stream. So, dude's always out there crushing it, man. So it's going to be a good one, man. I'm looking forward to chatting with him. I know he's doing some cool things behind the scenes, to kind of push some development, get some ideas out there on some movements in the industry, so to speak. So I know it's going to be quite interesting.
We can't wait to ask him some questions about some hunting. Because hunting season is around the corner.
He did send me a message last night, and he said to make sure I ask him. I got to pull this up so I don't wax it, but he wants me to ask him how he got Cody Milton on the New Canoe team. I think is what he meant by that. Maybe you got Cody Milton in a joke. I don't know. Dustin Nichols in the chat. What's up, brother?
What's up, doo-doo?
Brad Hicks says Jay's dimples, though.
Let's keep it clean, buddy. Settle down.
Oh, that's too funny. Too funny. But you fishing this weekend, man?
I don't know. I got the kids over here this weekend, so might kind of lay low. I know me and you are gonna meet up tomorrow and complete some stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I might get out. We'll have to see. I know. Oh, you know what? I think me and Seth are gonna go shooting.
Oh, nice.
We're probably gonna go set up some like turkey targets, shoot at those.
Right on.
So that should be cool. I told him, I was like, you gotta practice. I was like, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, I talked to our good friend Rodney Hicks. Shout out to Rodney. If you don't follow him, go follow him on Instagram and Facebook. He's hit me up. We might fish Saturday night, I think. Sunday morning. My brother from another mother.
It looks nice out too. The weather is totally. I mean, I just love this time of year.
Yeah, for sure.
So much nicer. Everything just gets more active.
No doubt.
Everett, where are you, buddy?
Sorry, I'm shooting him a message.
This is a little slow starter today.
He told me he said some of his friends and family are going to be watching, and I'm curious, if they are watching, is Everett always late to the party?
He's not even going to come on now. He's just going to be like, whatever. He's like, I don't care about those guys. How's your lake doing up there? Is it starting to cool off a little bit?
From what I hear, yes. I just talked to a gentleman that was fishing the lake earlier in the week. He said the water temps have come down a little bit, but fishing's been kind of slow. I don't know if he probably just doesn't know what the juice is. So
gotcha.
I get it, but
your super secret spot over there,
that
everyone knows about.
Yeah, but I can't give everybody the secret sauce. That's a good question. So everybody that's out there watching currently, Everett's just about to get on here. I mean, do you guys give away the secret juice? If you got something totally dialed in, will you share that with others? I'm curious.
I think we're getting close.
We are.
man. You done anything new to your kayak?
No, I have not. Somebody is asking what our PBs are.
I would say a pike. Like I got a 41. Unfortunately, nothing bigger.
Nobody
Up in
cares
Wisconsin.
about pike.
22-inch bass or a largemouth. I think the biggest. I think I'm only at like 19. I don't think I broke 20 on smallmouth ever.
Huh.
I think I've caught probably like a 10 or 11-inch bluegill and a 15.5-inch crappie. There's some
Yeah.
other stuff in the middle of that. 8-foot sturgeon. Does that count?
Yeah, I mean that does count. Crappie I've caught in 18 3/4.
That's big. Man, that's big.
Yeah, largemouth bass I think is like 22. Smallmouth is 20 3/4. Pike like 35.
Still a good size.
Yeah. Walleye 28 inches.
Oh, I didn't even think of walleye.
28 or 29. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
What about your like salmon or like trout
Oh,
or steelhead?
I don't even know the length on those guys. Steelhead is probably at that 30-inch mark. King salmon is probably at like 32 or 33 inches, like 18 pounds, 18 or 19 pounds. Brown trout is 33, I think, 33 inches, something like that.
It's like a whole nother world I gotta get into.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're fishing, tributary streams coming out of the Great Lakes, I mean, you're bound to catch fish that big. I mean, if you're talking Colorado browns, Colorado brown, I think my biggest out there is like 22. Real cutthroat rainbow, I think it's like 20, 21. My biggest brook trout, I think, is like 14 or 15 inches, something like that. Trout and salmon are like you said, a whole different world.
I think Everett's having a rough time, huh?
Yeah. Ryan Milford's in the chat. He's got
technology
hearts in his eyes.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Look
got him.
Look at that.
Well, what I got going on here is I got this really nice MacBook of Eddie's, and then I got my phone sitting on the MacBook. So I got a good lighting from the MacBook, but I'm actually broadcasting from my phone. Thank you, Eddie.
Oh, wow.
Dude, I mean, it's like you're pro. You got the lighting, you got the audio. I mean, it's good.
Hey, so sorry, guys. Sorry. I can tell you one thing.
Worries.
Absolutely for sure, and that is I have never successfully ever done a live broadcast that something hasn't gone catastrophically wrong, and everybody on the team knows it.
It's all good, man. I mean, we're still waiting for Chad Hoover's connection to come through someday, maybe. But just saying.
Yeah.
That was a brutal one, but that's all right. We recovered. Matt Gibson's in the chat. He says very true. So
he knows what's up.
So how you doing, man? How's life? How's things, man?
I'm good, and again, I'm sorry this is taking so long, but
no worries,
where
man.
I live, only local people would get this joke, but where I live is in the middle of nowhere when I have to go to Eddie's house to get internet.
Well, we were joking while you were trying to get connection that you were running rabbit ears to the top of the hill and adding some aluminum foil and stuff. So
you've just never seen anything like out here when it comes to internet technology, man. Nobody cuts us any kind of breaks. But thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no sweat, man. No sweat at all, man. So, as usual, for those that don't know who you are and what you do and what you're about, man, like give us a little background on Everett Park.
All right. So first thing, I'm very, very happily married to my wife, Dana. Fortunate that she enjoys being outside as much as I do. We get to do a lot of cool stuff. We just celebrated our 14th year of marriage and still
Congrats,
going
man.
strong. Thank you. Very happily married to her. I've got a really, really good family that's just crazy about the stuff that Dana and I get to do as well, which is great. And we all share the same faith. We're Jehovah's Witnesses, and we spend a lot of time with stuff related to that, our ministry work. And I was raised in a very, very poor little community called McIntosh County in Georgia. I was born in New Hampshire. That's why I'm still a Patriots fan. But I grew up just fishing and climbing around swampy places and being outside. Hunting was terrible down there, but it really did. I mean, it shaped the things that I like to do for fun big time because
Nice.
that was just, that was kind of every day for us. I had 2 boats before I had a car. No lie.
Nice.
So
I like it.
But anyway, so now I work in the healthcare field. I've worked for hospice for 12 years. It can be an extremely stressful job. And so fishing is still what I do to unwind and, escape.
I love it, man. I love it. So, I mean, being that you're in the medical field, man, not to dive too deep into it, but the whole virus thing, man. How's that been going? Dealing with that?
It's probably not as bad as it is for a lot of my, coworkers and peers for what I do. Um, I I will say that it gives me a lot of perspective that some people don't necessarily have. I mean, where I live, we're very divided. There's people that are super paranoid about it and don't ever leave their house, even if they live 30 miles from the next person. And then Dustin said he's from Brunswick. We got to talk about that later, buddy. That's
Yeah.
my neck of the woods. So, we got those people, and then we got people that are like, "This is fake. All of this is fake." I don't believe it, and I'm not going to wear a mask. That kind of thing. So, it's been good for me really that I'm able to sit back a little bit and have some perspective on it, and then also sometimes actually share that perspective with other people. I mean, I have people, reach out to me and say, "Hey, man, what should we be doing? And is this thing for real?" And that kind of thing. So, as far as my day-to-day job, though, it's made it harder in some ways, but a lot easier in others. I'm doing a lot more over the phone and a lot more, y'all are going to laugh, but I'm doing a lot more Zoom and stuff like that. Although you never, ever could tell it by the way things have gone tonight.
It's all good, man.
I'm
It's
trying.
all good. It's all good. It's all good, man. So, I mean, dude, we started off with a pretty epic photo, and I'll pull it up here, man. And I've been waiting to actually talk to you in person about this because I believe this photo here is pretty recent. Let me get it up here. Boom, bro.
Yes.
It's a small fish. What is
I
that?
need GPS coordinates like stat.
Hey, listen, all I can tell you, man, is I am a collector of fishing spots that I can never talk to anyone else about because they are my buddies' fishing spots. And I am the most fortunate guy when it comes to the generosity of other people. I mean, there's just about not a thing that I know how to do or a place that I know where to go that I didn't learn from somebody else. And I'm very grateful for it. I can tell you that. So this particular trip was my second, I think, time out with a member of our team we call the River Wolf. And he is definitely in the state of Georgia I think it would be safe to say he's the man when it comes to striper in a kayak for sure. There are guys that do a good job of it, but he's been begging me to just go with him, man. We get along really, really well, and we knew we would have a good time if we got to get out there and fish together. But what made this particular night special, I had caught another really good one, I think like a week before this, but my dad was with me on this one.
Oh, nice.
And my dad, man, we've had a lot of time that we didn't get to spend together. In the last, I'd say like 2 or 3 years, we've been really making up for lost time and just creating memories we didn't have before and stuff. And it feels really good, man. I'm not going to lie. So I wanted him to catch this one, but he still ended up with a good one. And we just had a great time kind of just experiencing all of it together. But this one weighed like 20-ish, which is, I mean, it's good. But, I mean, to put it in perspective, I mean, I've got a buddy up in New York, recent buddy, really. We share the same faith. Super good guy. They call him Hawaiian Dan. And he sent me a picture like the day after I caught that one of like a 45 or something like that. And I was just like, these are saltwater versus freshwater, but still, I just can't
That's
really
huge.
imagine that. Yep.
That's huge.
But I really enjoy catching big fish. I mean, I love it. I mean, I like it just about more than any other sport or anything else that I've ever done. The bigger, the better, for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So you touched on fishing with your dad. Is that kind of how you got into fishing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dad hung up hunting when I was pretty young. Just really fell on hard times. He ended up having to sell his rifle, and up there in New Hampshire, you got to have good equipment and stuff. And so he kind of focused on work and taking care of his family. But when we moved to Georgia, he was so excited to have the fisheries that we had around us. I used to ride a BMX, like a little Huffy BMX bike we got at Goodwill. I used to ride it down to the river, and he had like a beach cruiser, and we would
Nice.
ride down to the river and catfish mostly. And then when I got a little bit older, I had a Bible study with a deaf man, and when he passed away, he left me his boat. And
Oh,
that
wow.
was so cool. I was only like 14 or 15, but I had this little, it was a Sears Roebuck aluminum V-hull with like a 15-horse outboard. And I built a plywood casting deck on it so I could cast net, because that's kind of a big thing where I grew up, is just shrimp and mullet and stuff like that. And we had some good years there, and I got a little faster pace with my life and kind of got away from spending time with Dad and stuff. And I feel so great about getting back to some of the things that he and I got to do when I was young. We hunt together a lot now too. It's something we're have had a really good time. I've been hunting probably 10 years, 7, I don't know, something like that. But I finally got a place where he could hunt with me a couple years ago.
Nice.
And man, it has been so cool doing that together. Like just seeing a whole other kind of side of each other and everything. It's been really good, man.
You guys mostly hunting deer, or?
Yep. I am such a rookie at all this stuff, man. I mean, 7, 8 years or however long it's been seems like a while, but down here, if you don't have really good places to hunt, you're just sitting there watching pretty much. So I did that
right.
for a lot of the first handful of years, and then here just in the last year or two, I've started doing a little bit of turkey hunting too. I'm not very good at it yet, but I intend to be eventually. And then like dabbled with ducks a little bit out of the kayak. I am going to do more of that this year, I hope. But yeah, we're not, pigs down here in Georgia is a big thing too.
Oh yeah.
But mainly for me, it's been deer, and I enjoy it a lot. We eat a lot of it, man. I mean, I put 6 in the freezer, and we're almost out, which is a good thing. Season starts in 2 weeks, so.
Dude, you're not eating enough, bro.
I guess not.
I think one year I had, it was either 3 or 4, and we were like out by like February. I was like, really? Like, where did it all go?
If
You know, I'd
like
have
it,
like a pound of this, pound of that left over, man. But that was about it.
yeah, if you like it, you put it in everything. I mean, you eat it
Oh,
for
yeah.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So,
Yeah, man, it's the only way to go. It's the only way to go.
hey, I got to take a second. Jay, I apologize for just jumping right in here. My name is Everett, and it's nice to meet you, Jay.
I'll just mess around. What's up, man?
Yeah, it is. It's good to meet you. I'm sorry. There's no formal introductions, but
no worries, man. We're just hanging out.
Yeah,
you know. I'm like,
good.
You finally saw me in the corner. It's fine, but you know, you know.
It's all good, brother. It's all good, man. No, it's interesting, man. I know that aspect you're talking about, like you know, me and my old man, you know, it's I wish we had more time together, but you know, he was an avid bird hunter when I wasn't even born yet, and then you know, folks had me and my little brother, and my mom was like, guns gone, and I kind of learned hunting on my own, and I used to hunt off the back of his property before he moved, and I think one of his favorite things was going and tracking a deer with me and dragging it out of the woods at times, you know, and those are memories, man, like that I'll never forget, and it was always a good time, man. Always a good time.
Where was that at, Brian?
Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois.
Man.
Where the big bucks roam, bro.
I really feel terrible about that for you.
Yeah, well,
you should see the turkeys out here, man. They're crazy huge.
Dude, I had this morning when I left, there's an empty lot across the street, and there was probably 25 of them in there just pecking away.
Well, we have got a couple guys. David Brook and I have talked a little bit about hunting.
Oh, Brook.
Why are you name dropping Brook?
Yeah. I mean, dude.
Who cares? Who cares about Brook?
Views are going to drop, bro.
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
If you guys got better places for me to hunt than he's got, just show me, because I'll come. I'll come out there and hunt with you. No, but in all sincerity, like, part of why I mentioned what a rookie I am is Georgia's a big-time gun hunting state. Big time.
Yeah.
I mean, the vast majority of people gun hunt, but the state is really, trying to motivate more people to bow hunt. I'm sorry, but most of the WMAs have a much better season in bows than they do in guns. So probably like 2 years ago, I got a crossbow just to kind of start dabbling with it a little bit, see if I liked it, and then finally last year I had this one day. I had 2 little boys that I love very much in our family. Their grandmother has custody of them, and they were hunting with me. And they just wanted to kill me because I had like 5 or 6 does come within 20 yards of us that I did not kill. And they were just like, what are you doing? But it was because I had this one buck that had shown up, and this was right at the beginning of rut.
Sure.
And I just was trying to be patient because this crossbow thing is like a one-shot deal, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, trying to recock it, and I mean, it's just such a pain. So that was actually the motivation for me to start with a compound, and I love it so far. I mean, I've only just started really fooling with it, but the idea of just being able to get right back at it and be quiet and everything. So it's been cool, man. I'm enjoying that kind of next adventure. Not to say I've conquered any of the other ones already, but you know how it is.
Sure.
What kind of compound bow you got?
I've got 2 already.
Of course.
I've got an Elite Impulse 31.
Nice.
That is in the shop right now, but it is a super nice bow. We're just waiting on kind of long story, but make a long story short, me and Stuart Venable traded, and Stuart didn't realize when he got the bow and then traded on to me that there was actually some like the string and cable was wrong on it.
Mhm.
And he hadn't shot it a lot. I didn't shoot it a ton because I needed the draw length. I don't know if you've seen Stuart and seen me, but our draw length is radically different. So make a long story short, I've had to have some new stuff put on it. New mods, new string, new cable. And so I'll get it back soon. In the meantime, I convinced my wife that it would be a great idea for me to buy this Hoyt Helix. And I was like, listen, this thing's like $1,100 bare. I can get it. I mean, a super deal on this thing. Accessories, the guy's going to ship it to me. I will make money on this thing. Like, trust me. And I still have it. So
She's a very, very trusting woman. I like it.
she knows me way too well, dude. She was
What'd
way
you say?
ahead of that whole story. She knew
14 years?
what was going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Dude, I can't even pull the trigger on. I want to get a Matthews VXR, like the 28, so bad. I'm a Matthews fanboy for sure, but I'm still rocking an OG switchback, man. The thing still shoots bullseyes, so I can't. It's really hard to spend like $1,000 on a bow.
Yeah, I can't believe how cheap bows have gotten. I mean, not to say that they're good bows, the ones that are cheap, but I mean, there's some pretty good bows for like $500 now.
This is true. Yeah, fully loaded too.
Mm-hmm. But I was shooting here with Eddie because Eddie's just one of those guys. If you can just think of something, he knows how to do it or has done it. And
nice.
He's had a lot of years of doing a lot of different things. And so I knew he's actually put together a lot of bows and shot a lot of competition archery and stuff like that. The bow shop that's closest to him is the one I've started using for that Hoyt. And so I came over here just to shoot with him a little bit, let him kind of give me some pointers and stuff like that. And he's shooting a nice Matthews, super nice. I can't remember what model it is, but it's a really nice, like last year's model. They have one called like a Vertix or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's the Vertix. Yeah.
He's way better at shooting one than I am. I'll put it that way.
Dude, those dual cam bows, man. I'm like, mine's a one cam, but holy cow, I'll tell you what, you shoot, you probably know, the dual cams just snap the arrow off and that thing just flies. It's amazing.
Know, but I'm still new to it, man. I've seen a sticker that says Matthews solo cam a lot longer than I knew what that meant. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of grateful to have kind of fallen into it when and how I have, because the technology is pretty incredible right now. So
it is. Yeah.
Hopefully it'll help me not suck as bad.
Nah, man. Once you get that thing dialed, you should be on. It's your anchor point. That's the biggest thing. The anchor point's got to be in the same place every time.
That's what I'm working on tonight, man. I don't, I've been shooting mine and I've been shooting it pretty good, but I really didn't have a great concept. If you guys are hearing a bunch of crackling noise, I'm getting myself another beer.
You're good.
He has this thing he's been kind of showing me. It's pretty neat to anchor behind my neck like that. Like my thumb. And
I do the same thing, dude. Yeah. I do the same thing.
I never thought about it, but it feels completely different. So I've been anchoring behind my neck, and then he figured out tonight the peak was a little too low because I kind of been burying my face in the string.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was showing me how that would kind of deflect a little bit, and also worked on that a little bit, and I'm going to move the peep up so I can get kind of more lined up. But it's pretty awesome, man. I like figuring all this stuff out. It's pretty cool.
It's fun stuff, man. Fun stuff.
Yeah, I got my
for 20 minutes about hunting. If you guys want to talk,
I know, right? Hey, this is part of the conversation, because this is how we move into, using your kayak for hunting.
Yeah, actually, I don't mind talking about that at all. Yeah.
Well, let's go.
What's the plans, man?
Well, as of right now, we have got a absolute, what do they say, murderer's row of hunters using NuCanoes. It's kind of insane, actually.
Yeah.
So this season, there's one YouTube channel. I'm not going to blow it, but if you know anything, you'll figure out who it is by me telling you who it's not. So Seek One has been using our boats. They love them. I was at the National Wild Turkey Federation convention in February, and I got a phone call from Drew Carroll, who does, back then he did most of their editing and filming and stuff like that. And he said, man, I got a flint that I bought from Westbrook Supply. And he said, Fletch said you're one of his buddies, and I really just want to go catch a shoal bass, man. So here this relationship kind of started with them, and I've had a really good year getting to kind of help them out with some fishing stuff. And then the coolest thing was watching Jay Maxwell, who's our current state record holder for non-typical and, one of the OGs of their show. Getting to watch him kill turkeys out of that kayak was pretty awesome. I don't know if you guys saw that. If you haven't, go back and watch the kayak turkey video that they did in the spring. It was cool. Really cool.
So is he shotgunning out of the kayak getting turkeys?
Yeah. I mean, those guys shoot them with bows a lot. But, he I don't want to ruin it completely, but he has a Benelli. And apparently there's kind of a common problem with Benellis where if you bump them and they're a semi, a lot of times the bolt will fall and just stay there, and you don't know that until you go to pull the trigger and the pin just goes click. And he had called me and said, hey, we'd like to do a cast and blast. You're going to take Kendall and Lee, focus on the fish, and I'd like to, hunt this stretch of river and try to get a bird, and that way we could put all in one video. And about 8 a.m., I've got the guys in this spot, and we're catching some fish, and we hear the gunshot, and I was like, man, this is incredible, because we've been catching some fish. Now he's got a bird. This video is going to be awesome. And a couple hours later, we get down to where they're at, and he's out of the kayak, sitting on this sandbar, and he looks so depressed. And I was like, what happened, man? I have my pump Benelli in the boat with me, and he puts one in the chamber, bangs his gun on the ground, and goes click. And I was like,
oh no.
And I was like, but I heard a gunshot. He said, yeah. He said he busted me and took off flying across the river, and I tried to shoot him. But the video is really, really cool. I'm not going to say anything else, but the way that they called that bird from private land across the river onto public, and then, I mean, all of it is really worth watching. It's awesome. And then he ends up killing a bird with it, like maybe 2 weeks later or something like that. But it was cool. So we got them hunting out of it. My main man, Parker McDonald, Southern Ground Hunting. If you don't know much about him yet, go check him out, because he is the man when it comes to new canoes and hunting. I mean, he's been doing it better the last couple of years and more than anybody, for sure. Trying to think. So Terrence Williamson, who's among the turkey calling guys, he's really well known. He's been in our boats for like probably 4 years, 3 years, something like that. Ernie Powers from Tethered. He's a diehard new canoe guy. He's got this really super ugly Frontier. It's like one of the original, like,
super ugly.
It's that really bad green that we had. I can't remember.
Oh yeah.
Not the good one, like
right.
Not the nuclear one. It's the bad one. He's had that thing forever. He did the Michigan Public Land Challenge, and he had that in the back of the truck, and he's got like this really nice truck, and then this really green boat. It's like a Kermit the Frog boat. So anyway, he's getting a new Frontier in 2 weeks.
Nice.
So he's super excited about that, and then we've got some more guys coming that are just super excited that reached out to us, and I won't say anything else besides that, but I feel extremely fortunate. This year has been incredible for us as far as hunting stuff. But how that looks for kayaks and kayak manufacturers and stuff, I don't know. I'm not going to worry about what everybody else is doing, but I know New Canoe's pretty much the most effective hunting platform in terms of kayaks that there is, for sure.
No, for sure, man. I mean, I can attest to that. Working the Madison Fishing Show, it's probably the biggest fishing show in Wisconsin, minus the Muskie Show. We always show the New Canoe Frontier 12 with the layout blind and everything like that, and guys walk by and they're like,
Yeah.
"For real?
Yeah.
Like, I could do that." Like, no more messing with the Big John boat and strapping hay bales to it, or putting up their weird camo whatever, on the boats and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, man, to see that. I mean, a good friend of mine just got a new canoe Pursuit. Put a mud tiller motor on the back just so he could go duck and goose hunt, back in the sloughs, which is pretty bad
Yeah.
to the bone.
Yeah, look at you trying to censor yourself.
I
Hey,
am.
I appreciate that. No, I'm going to tell you, man. The first person that I saw do that, I don't remember his name, but he posted a video on the owners group with him and his buddy in one and a mudtail.
Nice.
And they're like, I don't know if you guys can show this because this is way over your horsepower rating, but it works.
Yeah.
And we went ahead and ran with it. We just used it in some of our marketing stuff. And then since then, actually, so Will and Thomas Clements, who are, kind of a dynamic duo of brothers who do really, really good film work, started doing a lot of our video stuff, and really good guys that just know, what the industry wants, what it likes. And they started using one on their boat, and we started using some of their content, and it's been a great thing for them, been a great thing for us. And what was cool is that's kind of blossomed now into a job for
Nice.
Thomas. He actually works for the Seek One guys full time now. That was a connection that he was able to make through us, and he's going to be doing all their film, and he's already done a bunch of their editing stuff this year. And so it's cool, man. All this, kind of the inner network in the outdoor industry.
Well, it's interesting, man. Typically when we're doing these shows, we're talking about bass fishing and bass fishing tournaments and blah, 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 blah. And it gets old. No offense to anybody out there, but I had an interesting conversation with a good friend of mine today. I go, dude, there is so much more. We were talking about, the kayak bass fishing tournaments, not KBF in general, just bass fishing tournaments out of kayaks in general. And, he was feeling burnt out. And I was like, look, bro, there is so much more to kayak fishing than just bass fishing tournaments, dude.
Yeah.
Like Jay here, his favorite fish to chase out of a kayak is a northern pike. And for the longest time, he was like, dude, like, I don't need to fish tournaments. Whatever, I can catch bass. I like going for mean, dangerous, stupid fish,
I can feel that. Trust me.
Yeah. And it's interesting, dude. And I love seeing that New Canoe has always kind of been involved with that hunting side, but it doesn't get the spotlight, I think, that it deserves in the fishing world, so to speak.
No, and we may not, real soon, just because I think the biggest thing is pedal drives. That still is what people in the tournament scene especially associate as like a benchmark for boats. But I will say we put a dent in it here the last couple of years, with motors being allowed, because our platforms do that really well, whether it's a bow mount or a transom mount. So back in 2000, I think it was 2016, but it might have even been 2015. We came out with this just little catchphrase: paddle, pedal, power. It was 2016 because it was our first H2 Pro drive, and you just see that getting retread all the time now, don't you?
Oh yeah.
We're certainly not the only ones that have that say that. But it is pretty cool to, even if we didn't do it the best, if we were the first ones that did it, and then now we're kind of evolving, and you can see some of the other manufacturers learning from some of our mistakes, and then kind of catching up to where we are now a little bit faster. They say imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right? So
Sure.
that's been cool. I will say though, we weren't the first ones to put a bow mount trolling motor on one, because I remember fishing the national championship. The first year it was on Kentucky Lake, and AJ had one on a PA 17. I mean, it was an actual bass boat. This was a tandem PA 17 with a bow mount on it. And all of us were like,
what the heck?
I'm so offended. He's in a bass boat,
Yeah, it's funny.
I had a milk crate with a 2x4 that I'd screwed onto it, and I had a like little 30-pound prowler on it or something like that. And then when I went to the pursuit, then I put it on the transom, of course. But it's come a long way, man. All of it's, I mean, it's just crazy. We're using spot lock and heading lock and stuff now. I mean,
yep.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've seen Scott Butcher drop in the chat here, and he thinks motors are the future of the sport. And I mean, I kind of agree, man. If you, I think that's the thing is a lot of folks, the beginning of this year, saw a lot of guys rigged up with the bow mount spot locks. Old Town came out with their Sportsman edition with the trolling motor and things like that, man. I mean, I know just in our host group chat, I mean, that topic of bow mount trolling motors and XI3s and spot locks is in there so much it's kind of sickening. Like that's the hot topic, So
yeah,
it's interesting to see where the sport has started and where it's going, for sure.
I don't know, I don't know if Hobie, for example, is going to maybe adapt to that or not. It wouldn't shock me if they didn't. When you look at the rules from one bass boat association to another, they are different, from one to the next.
Sure.
So if they don't, they don't. It makes it challenging in its own way. But I'd have to agree with Scott that, like, as a whole, you're seeing more and more clubs in states and regional kind of shift in that direction, and there's a lot of reasons why. Just to give you an example, and I won't say that. Never mind. That's going to stay off the record. But there are more donations and things like that happening for these clubs from motor companies. There's just more involvement, back
Sure.
and forth now, and so it's making it easier for these clubs to make the connection from their local anglers to this like elite level now, and kind of create a platform for these guys to grow into it. And that's pretty awesome, because if you are a place, a club that's like no motors, but you've got guys that want to compete in BASS or in KBF, you're not really setting them up to know that community or to be able to compete in it as well. So anyway, I think there's a lot of synergy there, and I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I'm really glad we're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, that's the thing. New is kind of come up with multiple different ways to power pedal, paddle. You kind of hit all three on the head, whereas you do have some other companies that are trying to catch up to that. Some of them are doing good. Some, could use improvements, but it's cool, man. It's cool. I mean, it's just cool, I think, to see the evolution of kayak fishing in general.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all were paddle snobs at once, and when pedals came out, we were like, what's that? Who needs that? And then it was like, oh, I see why. I can fish more. I don't have to mess with my paddle.
Not only that, but in a tournament, you just watch something go buzzing by, and you're like,
now it's like,
now it's motors.
Now it's like, man, I'm getting old. My knees are shot. Why do I want to pedal? I could press a button to go somewhere now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. My Torpedo and that XI5 have made me lazy. I mean, they have. Um, there's a summer online tournament that Peach State Kayak Anglers does. That is one of the only tournaments that I really get kind of fired up about, and it's because it's your biggest largemouth, your biggest spot, your biggest shoal bass. And I had a decent largemouth, not great. I mean, it came out of the river. I had a good shoalie. I mean, it was a almost 21-inch shoalie. But my spot game, I just hadn't even really fooled with it all summer. I thought maybe I'd just get fortunate. I'll tell you guys about that in a minute. I did get fortunate and completely bogeyed that one. But I decided I needed to go up and start fishing these big lakes because we were just getting blown out, hammered by rain over and over and over again. The rivers were just blown out. So I was like, all right, I'm going to Lanier. And I don't care that I don't have electronics because I sold them because I wanted to buy a bow. I'm just going to go fish Lanier anyway, and I'm going to use all my skills, and catch a big spot. And I roll up to the ramp, and I'm like, I thought it said 5 mile an hour wind. This looks like 20. And it's because it was the whole length of the lake, 5 miles.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm at the top of the lake, like looking down at this, just white cap mess. And I was like, oh, man, I really wish I had my XI5 right now, or the Torpedo for sure. But, I was going to be fishing deep water. That spot lock would have been nice. Anyway, make a long story short, I did a lot of paddling. I went back up and fished Carter's Lake, did a lot of paddling there. Did not end up with a big spot. I ended up with a bunch of dinks. And I was just like, man, where's my Torpedo? Man, I missed this thing. But, it is good. Like the guys that are hardcore and that are not lazy like me, it makes me have that much more respect for them for sure. And I used to be like that, man. I used to paddle around Kentucky Lake.
Yeah.
And I was proud of it. And the Pursuit's a great boat to paddle.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no doubt, I mean, there are places where a motor allows you to fish more, a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
Anchor less and fish more. And so I'm glad that they're becoming a little more accepted and that we're able to use them more because I think they're a great tool given the right situation. I will say one thing, though, and I've said this for a while, that just saying across the board motors are like an unfair advantage is not always true at all. I mean, there's times when you get to a spot and you're like, man, I wish I did not have 100 extra pounds on my kayak because I really want to get through all this grass and pads and stuff like that and fish that little pocket back there, or in the river setting. So to me, the greatest advantage you can have on a kayak is a kayak that paddles really good. You can just throw a trolling motor on it, and you can have a pedal drive on it. So I'm biased because obviously when I got a 13.5-foot long, super, super fast paddling kayak like the Pursuit, I'm like, it does everything great. So that's the unfair advantage I want. But, I see where some guys that don't really think about it that way or don't really know it, they're looking at it as you have the unfair advantage. Well, if your kayak paddles like crap, that's your disadvantage.
Yeah.
If it only does one thing well, that's your disadvantage.
Yeah, and I think that's key. You look at a lot of boats right now. You got some pretty, sweet boats that pedal really well. And you got some boats that paddle really well across the board, across all manufacturers. I think right now, I mean, pretty much every manufacturer's got a pedal drive and a paddle drive. Pedal and
drive
paddle.
And a paddle drive.
There's a paddle drive right here, baby.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I was like, well, might need some work, but
yeah. There's a couple manufacturers out there with some motor options, like we mentioned, New Canoe, Old Town, and Feel Free's got an option. Am I missing one right now? I don't think so, right?
I feel like in some way, shape, or form, almost all of them have something.
Yeah, but I'm talking pretty much like coming out of the factory ready to go, you know.
Right.
So I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, Torpedo. I think I'm okay to say this now because I don't think Matt has like announced it, but I don't think there's a problem with me saying it that I accepted a pro staff spot with Torpedo because I use mine any chance I get a lot, and because I fish rivers a lot, I mean definitely more than any other setting. I fish rivers and saltwater now more
Yeah.
than big lakes. I mean by 90%. So the Torpedo it fits me better than a bow mount. But the fact that Motor Guide is just partnered with us now, and we can
Yeah.
actually sell them with this shortened shaft direct from New Canoe,
Yeah.
we're about to blow the top off of that because dealers can just order the package from us. And we're working toward making some refinements where there's less installation stuff for them, and it's even easier for them to just throw it on there. So yeah, I think that's really what it's mainly about. You know, if somebody's like, I can still have the kayak that I loved and I enjoyed and I like to paddle, and in 5 minutes I can have it rigged up and ready to roll with the motor on it.
Yeah.
I'd probably do that.
Heck yeah. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Jay, what do you paddle, buddy?
Currently, I'm usually paddling a Liska, or I've got my big rig FD.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy.
Nice
I use that flex drive on there, so it's kind of cool. Can't go as fast as like the Torpedoes or whatever, but I mean it does fine for me. I like the simplicity of just taking the pedals off and putting the motor in place of where the pedals are, and it's not like cluttersome. It's easy to control. You know, seems to do pretty well though.
The E drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to tell you, man, the Liska, as far as my style of boats, it's probably one of that and the Mayfly. They're probably my favorite Jacksons that have ever been made. I've never really been a fan of a cockpit type boat that had a lot of like console and stuff like that. I've always liked more of an open platform. So, shocker, look where I ended up. You know.
Yeah.
I do stand up as much as I can now in the river. You know, you don't really stand up a ton in the river. I mean, we do, but then you slam into a rock and almost fall out. So really just having room to kind of like bounce around, move my feet around, adjust if I need to, turn around backwards, stuff like that. That's always been what I've enjoyed. And I really like to see the manufacturers starting to kind of trend toward that too. We've always been like that. I mean, just because that was the nature of a canoe concept. But it's been neat to see some of the other guys realize that was something that people want. I've got a kayak fishing focus group or kayak product focus group that I started a couple weeks ago, and I don't think most people understand why I did it the way that I did it. So I don't mind going ahead and kind of talking about it, spilling the beans.
Yeah.
The kayak product group, I started to have a completely unbiased platform from guys from kayak hunting, fly fishing community, kayak bass fishing, basically every page that I could. What up, Jimmy? Pretty much whatever platform that I had access to, I wanted to draw them into a place, but the one stipulation is that they couldn't be on a pro staff or a team. And it's because we were sitting there working on a new design idea, and I'm talking to my guys that I love and trust, but I realized we're all like super tainted and biased.
Sure.
What we think and what we think people like is not necessarily always true.
Right.
And some of this stuff, man, I've been running basic polls in that group, but it is kind of blowing me away how many people like the same stuff that I like, or maybe don't, but I don't know how to really say it without releasing all the information that I'm trying to kind of retain for products. But not that many people care about an adjustable seat, like very, very few.
Yeah.
Not that many people want consoles and crap in the way. Very, very few. Almost everybody wants a more open platform and wants more modularity to their kayak. And we've already been doing that for a really long time. I guess we just haven't had the marketing budget that a lot of the other companies have and stuff like that. But it's been an eye opener for sure. But I will say a lot of people run electronics, and and what I thought was interesting is the same group of people that almost everyone is running electronics a lot. The majority still paddle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The vast majority.
Yeah, I mean, there's I know quite a few guys that are still paddling, or prefer it, and the only time they're using a pedal drive or a motor is in a tournament scenario.
Well, we talked about it too. It's just simple.
Yeah.
I mean, you throw the kayak in the back, you grab your paddle, PFD, couple rods, net, some of your gear, and off you go.
I mean, just 2 weekends ago, Brad Hicks was out here, and he wanted to catch an Illinois smallmouth. So I took the flint, one rod, and a little bag that had some miscellaneous plastics and such in it. And I'm like, dude, like, I was ready to go in 2 minutes. Like, this is nice. I don't have to put my crate in the back, pull 8 rods out, and, all this nonsense, dude. It was just getting back to that simple kayak fishing, like when you started out, you know what I mean? And I was like, dude, this is just unbelievable. Like, why did I get so carried away? You know what I mean? But I don't know.
I know it's funny, man, because you'll get all that gear and you get all the cool stuff and have the rig, that everyone's sweating.
Sure.
And then that day you just grab the kayak for a couple hours. You're like, oh my God, like, why am I not doing this more?
Yeah.
It's like, and I'll be honest. I mean, my big rig kind of like lately, it's just been sitting on the trailer, because I'll throw that in the back of the truck too. But the Liska, it's kind of positioned so I can just grab it.
Sure.
So that one, it kind of wins like every time, because I look at the other trailer and I'm like, I got to turn this thing around. I got to take this off. I got to do this. Like, that thing's kind of heavy for where I'm going. It's like, I don't want, that too, right? So you get into these bigger boats that, when you got pedal drives, it's a heavier boat. Yeah. Just in general, everything's heavier. So, just having a regular paddle yak it's refreshing.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, and I think more and more of us are seeing that it's great to have more than one boat. I mean, obviously, I'm a little biased toward the Flint because I helped design it, but I use the Pursuit a lot. I mean, I still use it more than I use the Flint. It's just when I think about Mayfield Road Bridge or some other like gnarly bridge that I've accessed, that I'm like, man, I really only want to bring 2 rods, and I really want my lightest kayak, and it's not convenient for me to take the trailer because it's just this like 20-minute ride down this terrible road.
Mm-hmm.
You think about all those things. It's great to have 2 boats. That's what's nice about, a Flint or something that's more cost effective too, because you're not spending a fortune to have it. Your wife can use it, or other people when you have, when you need a second boat. But when you've got that grab and go scenario where you can't spend 20 minutes getting on the water and getting off the water, and you can't bring a trailer. I think I had a friend of mine, he did a lot of truck pulling and drag racing and stuff like that. And he's just a real country wise man, and he was like, he said, man, if 2 people can do it, there's going to be some kind of sport or competition.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that's true. Like, there's such a thing as professional darts and probably like croquet or something really
chopping logs, or like
If 2 people can do it, people are going to take it like way out there. They're going to get really crazy with it. And I think what I'm kind of beating around the bushes saying is that tournament fishing has really done a disservice to a lot of us, because we're looking at this like really small demographic of
sure
community, and then And what I've been wanting to do more lately is just take a step back and say, all right, what about the tens of thousands of other people every year that decide to start doing this, but couldn't care less about, a lot of the stuff that we think is a priority.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, I can totally understand that, man. Working in a kayak shop, sometimes I got to kind of watch what I'm saying, because I'm in the mentality of, like we're talking about tournament fishing, whereas this is a guy or a gal that just walked in off the street that may have never even fished off a kayak before, and I'm like, oh, you pedal drive or whatever it may be, and that's the big thing, is you got to kind of take a step back. And I know sometimes I struggle with that because I'm so, I guess, deeply wound into the kayak fishing world right now. But it's cool. That trip I was talking about a couple weekends ago, man, it was a breath of fresh air. It was like, man, I don't have to bring all this stuff with me. I can do a nice, simple, outing. And I remember Brad was like, "You're only bringing one rod," and I think he only brought two or three, But I was like, "Yeah, man, I know exactly what I'm going to throw. Like,
I'm
I don't
throwing
need
the dead rig, man.
exactly. I don't
It's
need
what he's-
6 other
that's what he's
rods behind me. That's exactly what
Did I
I was
get it right?
throwing. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
He's
Yeah,
pulling
come on, man.
he's pulling like a Drew, except it's just that it's not a chatterbait.
Yeah. I kind of wish I had the whopper plopper tied on because Hicks got into a couple nice smallies, man, on that top water bite. But it's a simpler thing, and it's I think sometimes we all need to take one of those trips to kind of reset our mentality,
Yeah, man. I love this Torpedo, man, because of the range that I get on it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of made me start doing some crazy stuff, like trying some literally insane things or dangerous things. And I love that I'm that
Whole
confident.
family's listening.
Yeah.
That's all right. They know. They're the ones that, like wake up and I'm gone. And they're like, well, hopefully he sent us a pin, like wherever he's going.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I've gotten a lot bolder because of that. But there's just times when you've got to reset why you're doing what you're doing. To be honest with you, man, it's the number one reason I got away from fishing a lot of tournaments. I remember driving home from, I want to say it was the Hobie Bass Open on Kentucky Lake, maybe. And I think I had caught my limits both days, but I drove home just hating my trip. And I've been, I think the furthest away I've ever gone, I flew to Texas and I fished a tournament on Whitney with my boy Guillermo and Ray Martinez. Like I've done a lot of traveling and I've had a lot of fun, but I was not having fun anymore because for me, I'm just so competitive with myself that I was losing the fun of just fishing. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, I've caught fish like 3-4 days in a row. I've caught plenty of fish, but I've just set this like bar for myself. My mind's in the wrong place and whatever. And so I think finally I've had a couple of years where I really haven't fished a lot of tournaments. And now I hope my mind's kind of back on straight. I still struggle with it. I mean, ask my buddies that know about that spot that I lost in my state, 3 species deal here over the summer. I still take all these things just way too seriously. But that's why, sometimes it's good to kind of take a step back, remember why you love to fish, go catch something weird and have a lot of fun. Go catch a catfish, or down here like chain pickerel or something really kind of lame. But that you can
your
still
little
put a
pike.
smile on. Exactly. That's the closest thing we got. And it's good because it reminds you why we should all be doing this anyway, which is to be
Yeah.
happy, to relax.
Amen, man. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I've stepped away from the tournament scene for the most part this year. You know, I fished a couple tournaments and it was like, I'm not going to devote the time and the energy like I did last year, you know, because I'm the same way, man. I'm competitive. I was so focused on finishing well and AOI points and all that garbage. Like I wasn't fishing. And it really took the fun out of it. Now, some guys are built like that. Don't get me wrong. Like, the Cody Miltons, the Josh Stewarts, I saw Craig Dye's
Russ
name in the list here.
Snyder's.
Russ Snyder's, exactly, man.
Dude
Those
is
guys are
animal.
built to it. I'm a head case. I'll be the first to admit it. Like, that's my biggest problem is the mental game. And it's been really refreshing. I've enjoyed fishing more this year than I have in the past 2 years, no doubt.
You're figuring it out, man. It's good.
Yeah, dude.
I think if you love whatever you're doing, then you're doing the right thing. And there is no question in my mind that nothing makes Cody happier than just like brutalizing himself for 7 days in a row and then winning.
Yeah.
And probably if I was a better fisherman at these tournaments, I would love it too.
Sure.
But, as long as you love what you're doing, like if you really love what style fishing you're doing, then you're doing the right thing. So like Jay, tell me about pike fishing. I mean, what is it about it that you just love?
The danger, no, they're just a fierce fish. I mean, some people would call them dumb. I'd call them vicious. But you can get skunked on those things too. There's just some days they won't eat anything, but I don't know. It's just fun. It's a different fish. It's bigger. I mean, the thing is it's just bigger, and largemouth are fun and everything, and smallmouth are great too. But, just something about a pike, man. There's, they're just so voracious and just nuts. Still got a sting rule in the boat. Nothing below 25 inches comes into the boat. They're just too dangerous to mess with. Like, especially if I got treble hooks involved. No. Like, you're going to get released from the pliers. I'm not even going to bring you in the boat. Like, we're not even playing around today. I've bled way too much from those fish. It's like I'm just trying to keep it to a minimum. It's like, but no, it's a good time, man. It's, plus, they're generally, I think, with the exception of Bryan's Lake, I'm usually finding them in rivers, like out by me. And you can hunt on my rivers too with the kayak as well. But it's just, I don't know, it's just cool, like the environment and everything, and getting to know them, just kind of getting intimate with like the situation. It's a good time, I will say I really haven't really gone after them a lot this year. I've been, surprisingly enough, I'm just like, let's go bass fishing. So I mean, it was, I think it's just the simplicity, of dealing with that. It's like, kind of like Brian said, just grab some Ned rigs, grab some like Rapalas or something, and just go hit the water and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, again, when I say that, like, do what makes you happy, like, when my father-in-law fishes with me, because we like to fish together, or my dad fishes with me, they're going to throw, like, 2 lures ever. And they're going to catch a bunch of small fish. And they are going to have a ball. And I'm going to have a great time watching them do it. And then meanwhile, I'm over here, and I've got this 8-foot extra heavy, like, musky rod with a Lexa 400 wind grip, like, monster swim bait reel. And I'm chunking these 8-inch bull shads or, whatever I've got tied on that day. And they're just looking at me like, boy, that does not look fun. But to me, it's like super fun, because if I'm going to bass fish, then I'd rather just chunk this giant bait 1,000 times, because when it finally gets bit, it ain't a small one.
Yeah.
And, that's what's so cool about fishing is all these different species, all these different ways to catch them, and in all these places that you can catch them. It just appeals to people's personality differently.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. It's interesting, man. I love chasing different species of fish, but Jay said it to me best. I think it was last year. He's like, man, you start bass fishing these tournaments, you got no time for going and chasing other species of fish. And I was like, no, bro, no, we can still go pike fishing and panfish and this, and didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
And it's funny this year, man. I've been able to take a little step back from that tournament scene and just go out and fish. And I don't care what's biting. It's fun to catch fish, It's like being a little kid again,
And I think so. Probably like, I can't remember which national championship it was. I've been to last year. I didn't. Can't remember if I went last year. I think I went last year. I know I didn't qualify this year, but either way, I'd been consecutive years for a while. And one of those years, I was kind of looking around the room. It was packed. Probably 400 or 500 people or whatever. And I was looking around and I was like, man, nothing against this, but anyone could win this thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't necessarily lend itself toward greatness. That lends itself toward just good fortune. Like,
yeah.
Hey, it's my day to win, which is why you would always see somebody win. And a lot of times it was a good angler, but he would win. But then it was kind of like that top 10 or top 20. That's where you saw the guys that were really consistently really good. And I remember telling Chad, I said, you know what, man, I don't think this is really for me anymore, but I do want to see some of these guys rewarded for all their time and effort. And one of the reasons that I thought about that more was because, I've been privileged to be friends with some really, really good elite anglers and stuff. And I remember Brandon Card and I were talking one time, and he was like, dude, this is getting to be impossible. He's like, unless they put some kind of cap on pre-fishing, Wheeler and some of these guys, he's like, they're just going to keep murdering us because they don't have a wife, they don't have kids. He's like, they'll skip 2 tournaments, and then by the time we show up, they've either sore-mouthed 80% of the spots, or they've dialed in just the best place on the entire lake, and we've got 2 days to pre-fish, and they've been there for 2 weeks.
Yep.
What I remember thinking to myself is, I kind of want kayak fishing to get to a point where your average Joe like me knows his place, and we fish our local tournament trails and stuff like that. But we know if we're going to step out there with the big boys, we're going to have to do whatever it takes. And if we can't, that's part of the process. And I think we're there because the guys that are winning are putting in way more time than everybody else.
Oh,
they're on the road all the time, and they're winning a lot. Jody Queen, Russ Snyder, Cody Milton, my man, Eric Siddiqui,
Josh Stewart,
Christine Fisher, dude, Josh Stewart. Like, I know all of these people pretty well, pretty much, and they are living their entire year out of a trunk or a bed of a truck or a van, and they deserve to win, and they deserve to win that check more than I do if I just show up and just stumble on something.
Right. I agree 100%, man. We're at like the hour 20 mark, so I'm gonna end this with one last question. We're gonna have to do this again. We're gonna definitely need a part 2 because we didn't even scratch the surfaces. Some of the stuff we wanted to talk to you about tonight, man.
I was 20 minutes late. That's my fault.
It's all good, brother. It's all good. So, you mentioned Cody Milton. how did you get Cody Milton to get out of the Hobie and get in a new canoe?
The question of the year for kayak fishing. I'll tell you, man, I'll be completely honest with you. We really haven't hit anything, but I got a call from Scott Butcher. He calls me all the time now. It's pretty obnoxious, but
we've heard that.
I love it.
Scott and I get along great, but at that time, he and I didn't really talk a lot, but he was like, we need to talk. And I remember thinking like, man, maybe Scott's like wants to be on the team or something. I don't know what this is about. So I called him, and he's like, how well do you know Cody Milton? And I'm like, man, I've competed in a few tournaments with him, and I think he's a really, really good angler, and he seems like a super good person, just very, very nice and humble. He said, man, I just had a really crazy conversation with him. I'm driving back from Florida, and we were fishing down there, and the dude really wants to be in a new canoe. And I was like, really? Are you sure? Like, because if I would think his parents used to be a dealer for us and stuff. Like, if he wanted to be in one, why is he not in one?
Right.
And he's like, I don't know, but I can just tell you this: Westbrook Supply is going to make it happen. I'm going to make calls with all these companies. We had this game plan we're putting together because Cody wants to be in a Pursuit with a Dakota lithium battery and a motor guide on the front, and this is the boat of his dreams. And I was like, thanks. Wow, that's great. I don't even have to do anything to sell this guy on it. So make a long story short, Cody had already had a Pursuit. He's got a super old Frontier he's had forever. The only boat he hadn't owned was the Flint, and he's got one of those now too. But Cody loves new canoe, dude. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's there's no smoke and mirrors. We did not pay Cody a dime. 100%, I'm being honest about that. He just wanted to be in a Pursuit, and he'll tell you that too. I mean, he'll confirm it. And I think for what you've seen out of him this year, seems to have made the right decision. So.
Yeah, man. I know some of our guys have seen him at events, and I've seen him at events as well since he made the switch. And it's just, it's you can't beat that setup. It's and he just backs his van right into the water, dumps it right out, goes and parks, and then he's off, like gone.
Yeah.
So
and even when he has to paddle, his biggest thing is that dude uses every single inch of that boat.
Yeah.
I literally helped him put together I didn't help him really. We just talked through it. A standing platform for the bow because he wants to stand like all the way out there. And his seat is getting an abnormal amount of wear on it. And I'm like, what is going on with this seat? And I'm looking at this like wear mark on the edges, and then I see these two footprints right in the middle. Like, you standing on your seat like all the time? And he's like, yeah, I just stand on the seat all the time. So like pressure like this is like bad for the seat. Spread it out.
Right.
We'll put some kind of cutting board on it or something that'll evenly distribute it. But anyway, he uses every inch of that like a bass boat, and it fits him perfectly for that reason. So I'm man, he and I get along great. Craig is one of my oldest friends in kayak fishing. I'm so glad to have him on the team now too, man. I mean, fits like a glove with just the culture of the team. And to be the to be the National Pro Staff Director and have all these guys just like gelling, getting along, winning is it's a wonderful thing. So I feel very fortunate, and I'm proud of them. I'm really, really glad that they're all here.
Yeah, man, you got a pretty solid group of guys for sure, with the exception of that David Brook guy. I'm just saying.
Did you just lump yourself in that group though?
No, I didn't lump myself in there. I'm like down here, bro, and those guys are all like up here. You know,
you knock Brooke, but you don't say anything about yourself.
Well, it's just me and Brooke got that kind of relationship. It's one of the homies. You got to give him a hard time when you can. Throw a punch in there once in a while. But no, Brooke's a good dude. I love Brooke, man. He's a character. But
So, Brian, I'm sorry that we didn't get to your other questions 100%. So, you let me know. I'll be back. I enjoyed being here.
yeah, man. Yeah, no worries, man. If you want to shout anybody out, thank anybody, things like that, man, the floor is all yours, brother.
I mean, obviously, Blake, number one, he gave me a shot. We way back when I walked around ICAST at the time. I had started a company called Yak Addicts, and have since sold my portion of it. And we were walking around, kind of looking at how we could strategize being at that show for the next year, and I just kind of stumbled into this pursuit, and I was like, and it was their introduction of the boat, but the boat was only part of it.
Yeah.
Blake and I are like brothers. We get along so well, and his family, my wife, we all get along great. And there's just something about seeing one guy with no giant capital investment group behind him.
Yeah.
Working his butt off all the time with 3 tiny little kids, and growing this business very slowly because he's growing it with his own hands.
Yeah.
That just, he just tries to always do the right thing. And so I would just say, Blake, 100%. I've had great opportunities from other companies. I'm real grateful that Jeff invited me on. Matt Ball and I are old friends, and he invited me on the Torpedo team. But Blake, I mean, he's the reason I have any of this stuff going on. And then as far as fishing goes, man, I mean, I there's no way I could possibly name every guide and buddy and expert, but if you go through my Facebook photos, like I have this one album that I just kind of stick all my favorite pictures in, called Big Fish. There's almost nothing in there that I can really take a lot of credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And so for any of those guys, I never want them to go without thanks for helping me out, teaching me stuff, because it's all going in there and it's in there forever. So it's pretty awesome.
Love it. Very good, man. Well, we appreciate you taking the time out this evening, man, and sitting back and shooting the breeze and letting the good people at home get to know you and those listening in on the podcast and things like that, man. So, yeah, we'll definitely schedule part 2 of this. Hang out for a second after we get done. Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in, all the love and the support. We appreciate you all. So this weekend, it's Labor Day weekend. If you're going out, just be aware of your surroundings. Boat traffic can get a little nutty. Be safe on the water. Until next time, guys and girls, tight lines and smooth paddling. Peace.